Two will enter. One will win. Welcome to the fight. Welcome to the knockout.
Welcome everyone to episode 5 of the Knockout. I hope my internet is actually working for you guys. It's been all sorts of hectic issues this afternoon and whatnot, but I look forward to this episode a lot. It's man versus machine. Welcome to Terminator. This is Skynet. It is the Kingpin versus Ultron. So I look forward to this fight an awful lot. This will be a fun discussion. But I see a bunch of different ways this possibly can go, but I'm not going to do the job for these two guests. Please welcome, returning to the show, Pocan Joe for Ultron. Welcome, Pocan. How's it going?
Thank you, and thank you for having me. Let's go Ultron.
Yes, go Ultron. Well, if he earns it, you never know what the machines can do, right? And please welcome first-time guest to the show, Dan from Your Mom's Comics on Instagram. Welcome, Dan. How's it going?
Pretty good. How's everybody doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. And you got some good issues behind you too. What is that? The Green Lantern over your shoulder? A couple of Green Lanterns over your shoulder?
Yeah, kind of move out of the way. Got a little my kind of villain section. Little flex going here. Little Kingpin action.
Mm-hmm.
Get the Thanos in the middle. Lots
Cool.
of Silver Age goodness.
Cool. Well, we're not here to show off our comics on the walls, because if we were, Pocan would be feeling a little lonely. So.
No, all mine's over there.
Oh, okay.
All right. We'll break them out. We'll just do a big session, right?
Yeah. Anyway, so like I said, I really look forward to this one. It's man versus machine, and I kept on a couple times when I was doing the marketing for this episode, I kept on doing the Terminator theme because it just seems so dang appropriate, that it's just I had to do it. So I look forward to this episode a lot. Honestly, well, I'll bring my own opinions when we start the discussion. So Pocan is elected to go second, so Dan will go first here. Any questions again before we ask or before we start the show here for introductions?
No.
Awesome. All right. Well, take it away, Dan, with your introduction for why the Kingpin is king after all.
I really appreciate it. And thanks, Joe. Thanks for the opportunity to talk tonight. Honestly, it comes down to this. Everybody loves a winner. And Kingpin is about winning. He may not be the strongest. He may not have, the most powers. But what he knows how to do is he knows how to win. The world's littered with folks, with talent, with resources, with everything. Kingpin always knows how to come out and talk. He's got an amazing backstory. I honestly believe he's the best villain out there because he's relatable. He's still a person. He's not a mutant. There's nothing overly special about him, but he knows how to maximize everything. Every opportunity he knows how to maximize. I mean, here's somebody who committed his first murder by age 12. He was known as the Kingpin of Crime by age 15. It's only going up from there. He's got all of the meta physical stuff going for him. He can put 600 pounds over his head. He is the best part about him is he's hidden. He looks like an obese kind of blob walking around, but it's just like a sleeper. He's nothing but muscle. He can run faster than almost any human over a short distance. He's like a hippo. He is just a limitless capacity for evil and a limitless capacity to invoke love out of folks. He is the definition of a villain, of a true villain. He's an amazing character.
Awesome. That is a very good opening statement. I know you said you were nervous before, but very good statement. So kudos to you. And Pocan Joe, what does the AI machine have to say for his opening statement?
First off, tonight I'm going to prove that Kingpin's not a villain. He's not a villain by any means whatsoever. He can actually show compassion. He can show love. He can show that he cares about things. Granted, it's because he's probably a psychopath, but hey, everybody needs to be on a path, and I agree to that. But what I do absolutely refuse to believe is that uninteresting Tony Soprano is not a villain. And tonight I proved that with an emotionless machine that spent 5 minutes on the internet and was like, yeah, you cats need to go. Like, you need to just not exist anymore. He's not trying to rule anything. He just sees us the same way we look at a cockroach in the house, same way I look at Kingpin. You just need to go away. Also, the elaborate planning and somebody that knows how to win. Everybody knows how to win, but that's just the faculty of being a villain. At the end of the day, it's our nature not to win. So regardless of all that, I still want to sit here, and as we go through our conversation tonight with our notes and our required reading, and even decided to bring in some interesting comic books because I'm bribing you, because I too am a villain.
Nice, nice, nice. Very good, very good. Well, I look forward to this discussion an awful lot. So I see this as a very, like I said, very interesting matchup between two. Yes. Mine's on the wall over here. Or over there now. So
I thought we were flexing.
yeah,
I'm
flexing.
Sure. Sorry about
But
that.
all right.
Slips.
This is, like I said, in the beginning of the season, this is a true villains season and all that, where really anything goes. There's not a lot of rules anyway in my show. There's even less this time. The Kingpin, not to argue your point for you, Dan, but I don't see the Kingpin doing anything by himself, even if he has the ability to do 600 pounds. I see him bringing in his city behind him, so of villains. But like I said, I will let. Would you agree with me? And then just take it away whenever you guys are ready to counter that point. You got an army of Ultrons or an army on payroll, but this is still a very interesting show. So how does this match up? Take it away with whatever you guys wanted to start with.
Joe, do you want to go first?
I can. So my biggest hang up with Wilson Fisk, right? I can't, the sheer fact of calling him Kingpin kind of just cringes to me for some reason, because all he is just an abandoned child at the end of the day that still has daddy issues well into his older age. His tantrums in the comic book, his tantrums in the show, there are just certain things that just make him just the abandoned child, emotion. Whereas the great thing about Ultron is the fact that he is just a legit social nihilist at the end of the day. And if we're going to talk about who's the best villain, you can talk about a person giving you a hug versus a wooden puppet giving you a hug. And that's basically the conversation that we're having today. Wilson Fisk can hug. He can show compassion. If you really want to get under his skin, we know we can always go mess with Vanessa, who, by the way, is probably a better villain as far as I'm concerned. She's better at the manipulations. But Ultron, given his charismatic spirit in the MCU, I thought it was very charismatic. Great voicing, by the way. And then also through the Rage of Ultron, where they tried to make him human and he failed at it. Like, they gave him a human heart. Not that that means anything. It's this glorified organic pump. But it still did nothing to change him in any way, shape, or form. He's just the epitome of evil and villainy.
Very good. All right, Dan.
I love that opportunity. Thank you for bringing up some amazing points. Right off the bat, you hit the nihilism button. I love it. I wanted to delve into that because it's just this simple. Even there, Ultron loses because Thanos is a better nihilist. He's second rate. He's D League.
Oh, no,
Ultron is on try number 15 and he's still getting smoked. I love the fact that you bring out Kingpin's capacity for love, and that's great because the real villains are relatable and they're flawed, right? And that's actually one of his strengths. Kingpin can control with fear. He can control with love. He can control any way he needs to. Meanwhile, Ultron's own daughter's flipping sides against him. He can't get anybody on his side. Let's face it, he's not really that smart. He's kind of got the one idea: take over the world. And he can never really get there. And part of it, let's just kind of remember, if you get everybody angry at you, then you're going to have a ton more enemies. Ultron has the strongest heroes in the entire world keeping tabs on him and fighting him. The Avengers are his sworn enemy. Kingpin does not face that on a daily basis. You know, like, all right, he's got Spider-Man, Daredevil, which, I mean, you know, you make a loud noise, Daredevil's out the window, right? Kingpin knows how to win, right? So he's Ultron's a one-trick pony, and Kingpin is the duck that's fallen in the mud coming out clean. He knows how to win. And again, you hit the great point. Kingpin's not beating people one-on-one. He's all about tapping every resource possible. He's got a stable of the world's deadliest, most dynamic killers. He's got Bullseye. He's got Elektra. He's got Typhoid Mary. He's making deals with Hobgoblin, Sandman, Mysterio. He's had Shield working for him at different times. He could probably flip Doctor Doom if he had to. The big thing with Kingpin is he can control anyone he wants to using whatever he needs to. All the tools are at his disposal.
I could do this all day.
I don't need anybody. Well, Ultron. I guess I kind of relate. I don't need people. I just need replicas of me. So there's that little messy thing that we all love to have, emotions and a lot of work and manipulation. You know, why chase somebody down? Why at the roof climb all the way down to the bottom step to punch somebody in the nose when you can just drop a brick? And that's the problem with Kingpin. He's overcomplicated. At the end of the day, everything's got to be this large, grandiose scheme, which, by the way, I'm still trying to figure out why things like he's a classy villain and all that. It's all a facade. At the end of the day, he's just another trailer park boy who could be in the Trailer Park Boys, actually, right? That dresses up in a white, like, who the hell wears a white suit? Get the hell out of here with that. I'm not hearing you, man. And a fedora on top of it? Like, what is this, 1950s? I'm going to get you good duder. Like, get the hell out of here with that. Give me some AI. Give me some lasers, freaking jetpacks, and I want to shoot lasers in your pee-pee hole. That is some villainous shit right there.
Go after Kingpin's brains all you want, but you can't argue that's not a classy suit.
I can't. Who the hell wears an ascot except for an asshole?
It's all about the style, my friend. I mean, I love that you went Austin Powers in the villainy, but how are we not? Probably about the same age. We're talking white sports coats, Don Johnson, the 80s. Let's do it with some style, my friend. If you want to be a bad guy, get everybody on your side. It can be, it can look cool. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's another example of how I just think he misses the mark. Again, he needs this kind of facade, much like his clothes. Everything about him is just this huge. He didn't grow up rich. He's not really a self-made man. He's a criminal at the end of the day, right? It's not really like a criminal organization. Kind of shows that he's not a self-made man, right? He's the kid that got abused by his dad, went to elementary school, and pushed down all the nerds. And then at the end of the day, he simped out for some chick. That's how I see Kingpin. There's not really much you can do about that.
Hey.
Like
I don't know.
So
you don't want to talk about Vanessa. You don't want to talk about Vanessa. That's really not a good thing. I think.
You get Kingpin riled, and when Kingpin gets that one piece of
adamantium body might get picked up by the guy that can pick up 600 pounds.
Well, here we go. Let's roll back to Daredevil here real quick. His foe, his nemesis, right? He gets information to take him down. And does he take him down? Does he come right at him? No. He takes Daredevil apart. He takes Matt Murdock apart. He takes his livelihood apart. He takes everyone he knows, his whole world. He doesn't beat you. He ruins you and everyone around you.
It's an
Ultron,
complicated plan.
It's winning.
Sorry, go ahead.
He's the mayor of New York. What's Ultron?
Was the mayor of New York. He ran away with Vanessa on a boat to go live happily ever after.
He crushed it and he moved on to bigger and better things, my friend.
After his son denounced him because he was trying to reconnect with him. Like, he's done a lot of good things in his last couple of runs. It's almost like he's not a villain.
Actually, I think Vanessa had passed by then. This was his new wife, Mary, Typhoid Mary.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, something like that. It doesn't matter. He falls in love and everything's them. I get it. Whereas my character, again, My character, I'll even make jokes about my own character. My character doesn't need a physical person in any way. Give him a toaster, plug it in, pull it down. He's good.
Oh, all right. So we're going digital. I love it. I like where you're saying self-sufficient. That's it's all about taking care. Self-love, self-care.
Right.
But
I'm just saying.
let's talk about it, right? So first off, let's roll it back. I mean, even in the MCU, James Spader's voice versus Vincent D'Onofrio in the role of a lifetime. And I love the MCU. I thought Avengers 2 was underrated. However, we're talking about overly complex and dense storyline. Let's get Vincent D'Onofrio in the Daredevil series just crushing it versus Spader's voice kind of pontificating about bringing Shakespeare up in this mess.
And religion.
Overly complicated.
Oh, and religion geometry too. That was fascinating to me, to be honest. I thought that was kind of interesting.
I dig it, but then his plan was to, pick a city up in the air and drop it on a planet. And
yeah, that's an excellent plan, man. Pick up a huge landmass and drop it on Earth. It's the same thing as pulling an asteroid out of the sky.
But I don't know about you guys though, but watching a big rock hurling towards the ground is scary. But I would be more scared of Kingpin after seeing him go, "Hey, meet my car door," and then kind of thing. I'd be like I'd be more worried about Kingpin after that.
We're worried about that. Yeah, he did decapitate the guy, right? We're talking about the show, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yeah, he took the guy's head off. Yeah, so you're more scared of that possibly happening because you just don't show up.
You'll feel that a little
more.
You're
not running away from a city dropping on your head, man.
Well, here's the thing. It's relatable. You don't want a city dropping. You have no concept of what that is.
I read
watching
comic
that person's
books.
head come flying apart, on a street level, what that is. That inspires fear in the reader. That's your emotional connection.
I don't know.
Kingpin scares the life out of me.
Street level guy, right? If the argument is that he's a street level guy that can do things that you can relate to, but then you're also going to sit there and say that his overcomplicated, relaxed plans of manipulating thousands of people in a city, that's just not jiving for me. That's where I get lost with Kingpin overall.
I get
you. Whereas
Ultron
just wants everybody to go away. And let's be honest, the writers of Ultron, he gets some of the most best. I don't know why, but who is it? John Buscema, right? The artist and Roy Thompson that wrote them. The rule for Ultron was always, right? His motives are simple, right? His plans kind of make sense to some degree, right? Make it as realistic as you can, but make it over the top and make it a spectacle at the end of the day. And that's what I really enjoy about comics. And again, this is where I'm kind of lax. And I've noticed, and I want some credit, that I'm not even bringing up the fact that a 90-pound college dropout gave the business to the man who can pick up and run faster and all this other stuff.
That's getting retconned. Let's not go there.
I'm just saying, I didn't bring it up.
Yeah.
We had a void button on that one. Oh man.
Yeah. Here is Pokenja.
Oh, wasn't that dramatic?
Just bringing in the heavy hits.
No, but and maybe I'm going to go down a little too much of a real tangent here, but given who I am and anybody that's watching this knows I'm going to do something like this. Given the fact that as an AI generated computer being of some sort, right, doesn't really understand humanity, but can mimic those things. Right, he's really good at I thought the movie did a great job of that. They actually made a robot charismatic to some degree. Yeah, a little pontificating like he was at a TED's talk, but that was the relatability. But all that was just a facade. At the end of the day, it's nothing but zeros and ones. And it knew how to speak to people and knew to bring in things like God because he doesn't believe in it, obviously. He has no beliefs. But he knows that humans do have these beliefs, and he's able to manipulate that through a little social engineering to be able to construct that. Then knowing that just wants everything to die and go away is a great example of social nihilism. The thing with Kingpin is, and this is where I might get a little serious for some people, and I apologize out there, but the truth is as I look at Kingpin, rather whatever story run that you want from him, right? It's always the abusive dad, right? Dad ends up dying in some way, sometimes from his hand, sometimes through other tragic things, whatever. At the end of the day, he's really just nothing more than a sad guy that never really grew up. That's just acting like an adult. And that's not a mental disorder, that's a behavioral disorder. And that's why I say he's not a villain. He's not something for us to be scared of. He's actually just sad.
Kingpin's the ultimate equalizer. He's all about doing better, right? When he did repent, when he did give everything up for his wife, what's the first thing he did when she got killed? Right? He came back with a tour de force and leveled everybody with a passion. And thanks for taking a little bit of the serious note, because I was trying to figure out a good way to broach this. But if we're talking like a little bit of a knockoff character, here's my issue in this context with Ultron, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at the comic book version. Let's kind of throw the Tony Stark getting up there, giving big speeches out the window a little bit. And let's focus on the actual Ultron from the comics. He's a knockoff of Hank Pym, who is a deplorable character in some levels. Hank Pym is one of the only folks that's ever ventured down that really negative road. So
Right.
If we're talking about a complex villain who's willing to do whatever it takes to come out on top to further his goals, whether it's personal love because he's he's obsessed with himself, whether it's a newfound greater goal for a family, or Kingpin will get there. Ultron, he's a second-rate knockoff Thanos, like worst nihilist who can't even take over the planet, right?
And
I
will
built off, somebody that smacked him on the mouse. That's kind of pretty terrible.
And I'll say this for your point there too. Ultron is kind of, like you said, dropping a city. He is kind of out there. Like I said, there's a reason why I brought in Skynet and the Terminator in there. Kingpin, on the other hand, does have his huge stories, but there's a reason why some people, like a lot of people, like in Spider-Man, like ASM. We were talking about ASM before the show here. There's a reason why some of the best stories people like are street level, crime level kind of thing. Kingpin literally is that. He is the peak of villainy. All he is a crime boss, a guy who on some decent level you can relate to because he loves his wife. He cares about his city. He has those principles that you can relate to. I mean, Ultron, yeah, you can relate to him and you can understand his, his ideas, like the Age of Ultron movie. You can understand him from an angle, but Kingpin you can really relate to. He is this, reachable status in a sense. Kingpin just is good.
I get what you're saying. So I think maybe I want to go back to something. So again, if you can relate to Kingpin, and I refuse to believe that Kingpin's even a villain, that's a good thing for you. I hope you're not a bad person. I don't even see Kingpin as this horrible villain type. He's a street level thug at the end of the day. That's why I call him uninteresting Tony Soprano. If I had a choice, right, I'll watch The Sopranos. Right? Whereas Ultron, again, being this evil thing that you can't even wrap around why he is so convinced that humanity needs to go away at any given point, you're not supposed to be able to understand that. And if you do understand that, and if you're watching this on the rewind, I'm talking specifically to you. If you're like, yeah, I get Ultron, you need a fucking therapist. You got, I am talking true level villainy here. I'm not talking about somebody you can relate to. I hope you can't relate to a villain. That's why I say Ultron. If I understand the instructions, who's the better villain? I have to go with Ultron on this. You shouldn't be able to relate with a true villain unless you're like, I don't know, Satan.
There's a big difference between a bad guy and a villain. A bad guy has the Monty Python song playing in the background, going through 15 versions. Like I said, his daughter's not going to be on his side. He tries to make a copy of himself, becomes his worst nemesis, right? Vision's kicking his butt left, right, and sideways. He's had everything at his disposal. He's got like an adamantium frame now. He's still getting smoked left, right, and sideways. This dude couldn't stand up for falling down. Like, he can't get out of his own way. He's literally like a
I don't
walking
know. I
bus.
think
Yeah.
And here's the
Ultron.
thing. Oh, sorry. go ahead.
Ultron's just a little, or I'm sorry, Vision is just a little bit more over the top of Ultron. I mean, look at the level of hero that I have to combat. Your character gets beat by a handicapped ant. Mine literally needs somebody with god powers. Do I need to remind you of Secret Wars?
I'm just gonna go with Kingpin got beaten by the writers, not by. Let's just get that straight.
I'm just saying, if we're actually under some weird belief that these two are on some sort of equal ground, then there's a fallacy in the argument there. Just simply look at the heroes that have to battle me versus the heroes that battle you, and that tells you.
Okay, I got a point here. Well, first of all, like I said, it's not who can. The idea of the show is who can win in a fight, but Ultron is either is powerful enough and also arrogant enough. He's not gonna. I don't see Ultron hiding himself. He's gonna be going in blazing in a sense, especially since he can literally program himself to internet. There's a reason why
in his dick hole.
Kingpin won't reveal himself until he can literally fight his opponent. I mean, because like the last episode of the season of Daredevil, we find out Kingpin's in charge of all these different federal branches. Literally, the only people he's not in control of is Daredevil himself. Literally, it's like he literally revealed himself to society as I'm powerful. He behind the scenes manipulator. That's how good Kingpin is. He's smart enough to be low to the ground until he's ready to leap up and strike.
Well, I hope he's also smart enough not to use, things like the internet, a cell phone. Maybe he'll like Morse code or use some pigeons or something. Like I'm not sure how he would like even corral everybody together. Maybe show up.
That's too easy. So again, Ultron's a one-trick pony, right?
It's everywhere.
He controls digital. Kingpin controls the people that create the network, run the network, fix the network, and the network itself. He controls S.H.I.E.L.D. He controls every spy agency, government, and organization in the world. Unplug Ultron, he's up it without a paddle.
Well,
let's face it.
He doesn't control the Avengers.
And Kingpin also not.
He doesn't need to. The Avengers are always going to be against Ultron. They're never looking for Kingpin. He doesn't have to. So again, it's coming out in his favor. He's all about winning. You go back to Chinese philosophers, right? It's not about who's going to come walking in the strongest. That dude's getting knocked out. It's about who plays against their opponent, who learns their weaknesses. Kingpin's one of the best strategic minds in the world. He's going to learn what your weakness is. Are you weak and he can win versus strength? Does he need to get you on his side? Are you weak-minded but strong, so he needs to control you mentally? He's going to look for that weakness and he's going to exploit it every time.
I'm so happy that you brought up Chinese philosophy or Eastern philosophy, I should say. I think that's a great take, for when you want to, sit around and wait for rice to cook. I believe in more of a Germanic philosophy where it's if you think they're your enemy, then just go ahead and kill them because you can make more friends.
Is that German or Russian?
That's Germanic. That's like Roman times.
He's going to need to make more friends with that little cookie cutter factory he's got because he's running out quick.
Meanwhile, if you want to truly, and mind you, we also need to be remembered. He hasn't really legitimately controlled people. He's been double crossed several times.
Oh, yes,
several mimics of myself. They're not going to double cross me. Why? I'm not going to double cross myself. That's income.
That's because they're in the scrap heap. They already get destroyed.
I don't know.
He's not perfect. He just knows. That's even better. He's a fallible character, so he knows how to adjust when things go sideways. Kingpin's never outright losing. If something goes his way, doesn't go his way, he can adjust. He's not going to bonk into the wall and have Thor crush his head. There's not.
Yeah, but with Thor, I'm trying to think of comic book runs now, and I've read just about everything because I've actually had to argue against Kingpin before. I don't know if he told you that, but I've actually against Kingpin before. So I did a lot of research and reading on it.
Kingpin versus Lex Luthor.
Again, when I was, and I figured that one out. Lex Luthor, come on. But
Hey, just saying, you know, maybe those
but
reasons.
like if we were to formulate this, right, we keep trying to make Kingpin like this uber intelligent social engineering guy, right? And I guess I can see that argument to some degree, but not in anything that I read. Remember, his whole stick, right, is to give them what they want to get something back or bully people. That's his big manipulation technique. That's not
Power.
like big brain social engineering there. It's not like he's convincing people. Not like what Ultron did with Wanda and her brother, where they actually convinced them that they were on the right side of something, even though he was manic at times.
And then they betrayed him.
Because that's the nature of the villain. The villain is always to lose, regardless if it's Kingpin or anybody else. Our nature is to lose at the end of the day. What our nature is not to is to be relatable to humanity. And you've already told me that you could relate to Kingpin.
And that's why it's a better experience for the reader. A reader wants to read a good villain, not about a bad guy that kind of has that one trick where he keeps losing.
Better villain. And a great way to be a better villain is to be void of good. That is villainy. And the absence of empathy. Oh, can you imagine that? Absence of empathy? Oh.
That just makes you a robot.
Bam!
Yeah. Robots aren't bad.
Yes.
Right? Robots aren't truly evil. They're just programmed, right? And apparently it's programmed.
AI generated. It learns on itself. That's going to be a whole nother thing.
Yeah, right, we can go that way. All right. It does expand. It has the ability to learn, right? It's not running DOS like, 6.0 anymore. But you want to talk about just like tangible evidence about Kingpin's reach, right? A woman in a far off country has got a drug habit. And within a day in the 80s, he's learning about his nemesis, right?
Don't show that. Don't show that yet.
Everyone knows.
Put that away. I was going to use that as my closing argument.
Oh no, I didn't even say it. So my whole point, if we're talking about complexity of plans, he's not just using the stick or the carrot, right? He's developing large scale, very applicable, understandable, and dynamic plans, right? That aren't going to get stopped at one point, right? Again, he took this guy's whole world apart step by step by step because he wanted vengeance. Vengeance isn't a good thing. It's terrible, right?
No, vengeance is a great thing. Have you never heard of righteous vengeance? Like, that's a term.
Righteous vengeance? I'm pretty sure it's right. Isn't that supposed to be just kind of one person making that? It's supposed to be justice, not vengeance.
No, you can get vengeance. Revenge is based off vengeance. Like, that's a legit thing. That you can actually make that argument in a courtroom.
Maybe the one that
somebody does something against your family and you snap and lose your shit. Yeah. There's a movie based off of it too.
Wait, hey, family. Was that an Italian dig on the Kingpin? Come on, hey.
No, it's Tony Soprano. I watched Tony Soprano.
That's a great show, by the way. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, way to use the legal system to take apart a lawyer. You want to talk about cool little niche. He's not a one-trick pony. Kingpin taps every aspect. He's evil. He's scared. Has anybody sitting here ever been scared of Ultron? Have you been a little scared about D'Onofrio in that Daredevil show?
You know what?
Didn't he give you the look?
Like, no persona. But you know what scares me the most? If I actually think about, I don't like. Maybe you don't know. I have a channel on YouTube where I do like sciencey things in my evil lair. Right? I make lasers. I build things. Do blacksmithing, stuff like that.
You have an evil lair?
Yeah.
Wait, could you swap out with Ultron? You'd be a better villain.
No, hold on now. And I was thinking about this argument, and I was out there. I was actually working on a piece of mechanical little device I'm working on for a separate project for somebody. And I was thinking about Ultron and what really makes him evil. And I remembered something that was told to me a long time ago. The absence or the opposite of love or happiness or any of these other good feelings that we have isn't hate. It's not anger. It's not vengeance. It's not any of that, right? It's the void of empathy. Like, you can't even relate. Like the way you would feel if you accidentally stepped on a cockroach. Fucking thing shouldn't have been there in the first place, right? You justify. And that's what Ultron is. Ultron's not around. It is the ultimate idea that there is something, right? That's the negative part of a person, right? So, like, let's look at the movie, right? The daddy of Ultron in the movie, right? It was just everything. Tony Stark just wanted to do peace. He wanted to bring peace to people. And the great thing about this is that the more you try to bring peace on people, you're nothing more than a fascist to other people, right? You birth this fascism or this nihilism or this other thing, the harder and harder you work for it. And that was kind of the whole point of the movie as it was going through it. And that was the great thing, that Ultron being the character there ultimately, because you can't really reason with a robot, right? Once a robot has programmed something and a decision is done, the outcome is done. You can't argue it. You go on your Google machine and type in 2 + 2, or tell Siri, this is a fun one actually. Do Siri, what's the solution for 2 + 2? She'll tell you 4. And then you go, Siri, that is incorrect. She's literally right now. Like, you can't argue with these kind of things. And shout out, my buddy in the chat kind of spoiled it for me. Now she won't see, it's like Ultron in my house, just won't stop. And it was kind of already ruined, because I like how the villain always loses, the villain always, right? But I think at this point it's been spoiled. My ending argument was going to be, well, Ultron has won. He kind of did win in a very big way, and beyond what Thanos had ever done in the What If series. That has been something that has happened.
Thanos took out half the universe, and Ultron got reversed by Scarlet Witch, if I'm correct, right?
Well, he also killed off not only the entire universes across the multiverse.
Oh, all right. Sorry.
Instead of just half of a universe, because those, come on, you got to get those numbers up, kid.
Those are rookie numbers.
Multiple universes.
Yeah, I mean,
that's just because he's so good at math.
Who would do half a universe? I mean, half a universe is just,
puny god.
But I am happy that the chat, I'm super happy the chat's engaged, and thank you. Oh, that's great.
Oh god, I haven't even seen the chat. Hopefully I'm not getting smoked there. So here's my thing, right? We're talking about a person or a thing that's absent of any emotion. That's just, so that, to me, that either speaks to a psychopath, right? Who's
psychopaths have emotions.
Yeah, absence of knowing that they did anything wrong. Isn't that what?
Right, absence of knowing anything wrong, but they still experience things like joy and sadness and things like that.
Yeah, all right. So, but let's take that to extension, right? Doesn't Ultron think he's ultimately doing good?
No, it's an equation to him. That was explained in Rage of Ultron. It's all just an equation to him.
Right. Because man's evil. He needs to get rid of man and replace it with something that's kind of not.
No, he doesn't care about the evil or the good. The way I read Rage of Ultron, which it kind of really broke down and I hate to use the word philosophy because it's kind of loosey-goosey in Rage of Ultron, but just, and it's great required reading for if you're an Ultron fan. I'm just throwing that out there. But the whole reason why humanity needs to go itself is that the equation to an ultimate zero, the math problem doesn't need to be done. And this is a great mathematician thing too, right? If the equation always goes to zero, no matter which way you work the equation is no good. And in this case, humanity as its whole, and it's good, bad being the plus or minus with zeros as they work out, at the end of the day, humanity's equation equals zero, and you need to wipe the board because you're a waste of space, time, and energy. Yeah, that's how
I got lost in math, man. Sorry, I was like, carry the 2.
I know. I go down these rabbit holes, and it wasn't supposed to be part of my argument tonight.
Guys, man, this is not a strong suit.
Yeah, I mean, math just feels like this.
Right?
But you're dealing with something
It's like
cold
2 plus
and
2
uncaring.
is 4, but it's not. It's 0, but it's not 0. It's 4. Ultron's really evil, but he's kind of not, but he is. But Kingpin's the great dynamic bad character, and he's
It's
relatable,
complicated.
scares people,
My
but he's
my
not a real
character's
villain.
complicated.
And I mean, to address Manny, the Hobgoblin Collector's point, Kingpin's infatuation with Vanessa is another weakness that has been exploited. I mean, yeah, it can be a weakness, but also,
Hmm?
this, like I said, to bring up the Daredevil series, this is a guy who decapitated someone with a car door. You don't mess with
There you
that
go.
level of psychotic with somebody you love unless you are seriously prepared to
But
win.
again,
Because if you
love
do,
is a good thing.
'cause if
Love
you
is a good
No.
thing.
because if you mess with Vanessa, you better win or you're dead. Those are your only two options. So,
Just saying. Love is a good thing.
Love is a good thing, but look what it can motivate you to do, right?
Yeah,
That's the
so
whole point. He's a
banners have
fallible
been waved
character.
for peace that are much worse than anything for love. So
It's what
I
he did
mean,
with it, though, because as soon as it was challenged and taken away, he went next level. He didn't use a math equation to reduce it down to 0. He brought
he
his
didn't.
full capacity for evil down
His
and
big
rained
evil.
terror down on everyone associated. And
His,
he's not a guy that's okay with just killing someone. He wants to make it last. He wants to make it hurt. He wants to make sure everyone else knows about it to inspire fear. He's
So
truly evil.
he has passion.
Yeah, well, you should always be passionate about what you're good about.
Yeah, but his big evil plan, and let me make sure I understand, and help me out with this. His big evil plan in the Daredevil episode, I think it was one of the seasons, it doesn't matter. You remember what I'm talking about. He wants to get into economic development and tear down a city or tear down several blocks within a city because it's trash or whatever. Come to find out, if you go back and look at the map, it's actually where he grew up. So, right now, I know we want to make fun of Ultron for the math and everything, but it just so happens my day job is in economic development. And I'm going to be honest with you, that shit's boring as fuck to me. And that was the big. Remember, you make fun of a character for math, and then you talk about economic development and redevelopment of city blocks. No offense,
Oh,
not
is that why you like
all
Ultron's playing with
suspenseful
the city
TV.
falling?
Yeah, the whole
Makes
plan.
sense now. It's like
laid
a
out.
circle that comes around. Makes
Yeah,
sense
I
now.
was like, that was. Yeah, I'll go to a city planning meeting if I need to know more about economic development. I'm not watching Daredevil.
Oh, all right. So where you're kind of going is that every once in a while, Kingpin's ideas seem like they're kind of boring. Is that where we're going?
It's old.
Yeah, he doesn't want people to know what his real ideas are. He wants to be boring and uninteresting on the surface. He wants to appear weak to his strongest rivals. He doesn't want the interest, and that's the source of his power.
Wait a second. What
right?
rivals would he have? He manipulates everybody.
So yes, he manipulates everybody using every tool he has. Strength isn't probably his strongest tool, right? Again, you want people only to attack you if they're weaker than you, right? If he came out big chested saying, "Hey, I can bench 600 pounds and I'm essentially impervious to bullets because my skin's so tough and I can, sprint faster than NFL linemen," he's going to get his butt whooped by the Thing, but he's never going to pick a fight with the Thing. Right? He's going to pick a fight with somebody who's a martial arts expert at best, or a tough guy off the street, and he's going to crush their skull like the dude from Game of Thrones, right? Somebody's going to be bouncing around talking about, he did something with his daughter and his sister. He's going to be laying on the ground, and then boom, crushed like a watermelon. That's Kingpin's style. But he's always coming out on top, right? Again, even Ultron's strongest thing. They're going to the digital age. He controls digital. Great. We're talking about the guy that controls everything that the digitals run on. Right? He controls everything.
You keep using this example of coming out on top. A blind man, whipped up on you. Or not you. Sorry, this is not personal. I'm just, when I say you, I mean Kingpin. I don't want there to be not insulting you. So like a blind man can beat you, because you didn't get that concept of using a boombox in the 80s.
blind man who fought the Hulk to a standstill.
Oh no, I know what story run you're using. No, you don't
I'm
get
just
to
saying,
do that.
come on.
You don't get to do that. That was kind of weak. That's kind of right.
It isn't canon, man.
Yeah, but a horrible canon. This is bad. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say everything you read about Ultron is good. So I'm going to just ignore that one.
Ultron, Crimson Cowl, what's his name these days?
Again, I can always go back to Secret Wars if you want to talk about who's more powerful. Like the things Ultron did in Secret War. Come on now. That was
Secret Beyonder? Oh, the second one.
The first one.
The first?
He was in the first one.
Yeah, that was like Doom all day, and the Beyonder came out on top.
Yeah, but anyway, back to my argument. So you got Kingpin, right? And then you got handicapped man, right? Batman, whatever. I'm not a Daredevil fan, by the way. Right? And then you got the Punisher in jail, right? Even in the comic books, even in the show, right? It's still just, and these are just regular, well, either handicap or regular people that he just can't seem to get his hands around and drop. And don't even get me started on
no problem. I'm just saying, right? The strongest, probably most popular superhero of all time. He's keeping him at bay. He's keeping Daredevil at bay. He's keeping a crazy vigilante at bay. He's keeping the entire crime syndicate at bay. He's keeping Nick Fury and all of his little agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Only for so many issues.
Yeah, but then he's on to the next thing, right?
Is that really what he's doing, though? My argument is it's all just the scared kid trying to show that he's better than he actually is at the end of the day.
Being the world's richest man, controlling every organization.
There's like thousands of those. Like, I'm built with antimanium. I could be the richest robot out there with how much metal I have on me.
Was that before or after you got melted down?
I'm just saying you can't melt that stuff. Remember, Wolverine's claws is made out of it.
Yeah, I thought he got melted. The last go, like on 14 or 15, it's a little tough. Like, maybe if he did that 100 guy trick that Mario did back in the day, like he'd get there.
That would be more interesting than getting beat by a blind man, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure Kingpin can just, Kingpin could just hire Magneto to rip Ultron apart. After all, he did rip Wolverine's adamantium out of him.
Don't even get me started on that argument. Just because somebody can control magnetism doesn't mean every single metal out there is susceptible to him. Like that doesn't even make sense to me. Like lead's metal, stick a magnet to lead or aluminum or anything else. This guy, like, they just overpowered that dude ridiculously.
I mean, is he having trouble if he's going to the beach? Like, he has some sand up in his joints and he's like freezing up like the Tin Man? Like, how?
I don't know. Have you ever seen like battle robots and stuff before? I don't know. That stuff's pretty interesting to watch. Much better than economic development.
So, he kind of goes in the little arena and it's like the one arm guy coming down. He's fighting with that.
Still more interesting than Kingpin.
Just to let you guys know, the link for the voting link should only be active for about another 10 minutes or so. So just to let you guys know, that's all we have left for the voting link. Otherwise, until we can still argue for a little bit longer, but we won't be able to win any votes after that point. So
I wouldn't say it's an argument. We're just out here, just
We're
supporting each other so we can all grow.
This friendly debate. I mean, I know everyone in the chat is just sitting here watching it going,
would you like me to explain?
I would love to hear this.
So would I.
And definitely, if you have any points or opinions or something you want to bring up, definitely hit up that chat box. We don't want to bore you guys. We want to engage each other.
Yep. Questions and opinions are more than welcome. After all, sometimes they just help continue discussions and bring things to a point. Because, I mean, is Ultron, to one of my points that I thought about for this matchup, is Ultron fighting by himself? If this was a kind of a fist fight, or is he bringing his his clone army of robots? Because like I said, I don't see Kingpin fighting by himself. I see him using his checkbook and hiring every villain in the city.
I could see that. So what I would say is I would say Ultron would not, right? Because it doesn't, again, if he's a robot, which means he does calculation, he understands the internet, he probably already knows who Wilson Fisk is, knows what he's capable of, I would think. again, given the heroes that generally go against Ultron, and then looking at him going against Kingpin, I think he would be very well equipped with an entire army and just let's pretend heroes don't exist. No heroes are going to interfere, and it's just villains and stuff. Man, I don't know, because let's be honest, if it was them two in a ring, MMA in it out, like, yeah, I know he's 600 pounds, 3% body fat, can run faster than right, but he's not punching through made up fake steel. Adamantium. Like, that's not happening.
Thank gosh that never has to happen. That's not his darn strength, right? It's never going to happen because it's never going there, right? Let's face it. Ultron can't make friends. The one time he tried to deal with the underworld, right, and get a little bit of vibranium from, like, he flipped out, lost his mind, and cut the dude's arm off, right?
That was
like,
great.
He doesn't know how to, right? Wasn't that a great scene?
That was a great scene.
Claw. That's how Claw gets made. Right?
Talk about someone with daddy issues.
Meanwhile, Kingpin deals with the fallible nature of humans. They're always going to cave to whatever pressure he can apply. Ultron's never getting off, and there's never going to be that vacuum scenario where the world's superheroes aren't going to be lined up, focused on the Iraq of the villain world, right? It's the bumbling Republican guard out in the middle of nowhere, can't find their shoes, making a gazillion little robots running into the wall. Everybody's attention's going to be on them when they can't even take over the tiny little neighborhood next door. Meanwhile, Kingpin doesn't have to do all that, and he takes over the world.
All right, man. What branch did you serve in?
Boy Scouts?
Lying sack of shit. Alrighty, so I normally don't do this, but
Going off.
Comic Ball.
No, not those. I'm sorry. So Spurs, United States Army retirement paperwork.
Nice.
So when you brought up your analogy, I was like, oh, I'm assuming a fellow veteran.
Yeah, 68 whiskey.
Nice. So yeah, but you're still wrong.
You're a great guy. You know what? Awesome. Thank you, but you're wrong.
Like, I tried to relate, and then I'm like, nah.
So you did the Kingpin on me, right? You kind of
No, I did an Ultron. I calculated, and I was like, not worth my time.
Oh, that was just.
I'll let if Ultron's smart, he'll go like, well, I'll let Kingpin have New York, and I'll have the world. It's kind of like Dr. Doom in Latveria. He'll focus more on his own country.
I don't understand why keep an enemy alive.
Well, if Kingpin wants to rule the world, but if he cares more about New York than the world, he might be like, let him, focus on New York, and you can have New York, and I'll have the rest of the world, and I won't interfere with you. So,
my understanding from the show, and please correct me if I'm missing this, he absolutely hates New York. He keeps calling it a jungle, a cesspool. He wants to destroy half of it. Like,
I think he's talking about the monkeys in the zoo.
Yeah, he loves Hell's Kitchen. New York's his people.
He wanted to tear it down, though, right?
He wants to rebuild it in his image.
Something other than what it is.
He wants to make it. He wants to make it new New York.
There. It's from there.
Make New York new again, right? He's all about
maybe. I'm still stuck on one thing, and I don't think I can get my mind off of it. The fact that he has the capacity.
The Ninja Turtles on his side if there was a real fight.
Are we really gonna go there? Like, Shredder's a better character. Like, Shredder should have won already. Like, I'm sorry.
I love how Eastman and Art they made the whole knockoff of Daredevil and nobody even caught on to it. Right?
Yes, I know what you're talking about. Yes.
Foot Clan, it's the hands, right? The Splinter.
They just made animals in opposite body parts.
Splinter and Stick, right? Are the teachers. This is amazing. I love those guys. That's like,
as my college professor said, you don't how original ideas, you steal the best ideas for yourself and you claim them.
Right.
There you go.
And of course, look at the U.S. Patent Office and change any idea.
Yeah.
It's our joke.
Awesome.
How
Awesome.
Stanley of you.
Yes. Well, I know it's been 55 minutes, and I know that we all
I could do this all day.
we can literally do this all day. So, do we have any further points we want to add, or we want to wrap it up to conclusions? Because I generally try to keep the show about an hour here, and I have other things I will need to do tonight since I literally have to run to make this show happen.
There's nothing more important than this argument. It is the most important argument in all of villainy. Remember, the only way something can be truly villainous if it truly does not care about anything is my argument. Social nihilist is just the epitome of the worst. Your capacity to love, your capacity to care is what makes you human, and you should have those things. But if the argument, as I've stated in the beginning, is who's the best villain, it's devoid of all of it.
I don't know. So the only way something can be truly reprehensible and evil is to attach motive to it, right? That's why if a human does something bad, right, you can really relate. You can chastise them. It makes sense. If an animal does something bad, like, no, it didn't know what it was doing, right? So the nature of evil, I think we're disagreeing on here. I think the intent, the malevolence, the sheer just villainy of it, right, has to lean towards Kingpin. You can understand it. You can comprehend it. It's not a light switch. It's purposeful. It's not destined and it's just going to happen. This is someone with an intent, with a plan and a desire, and it's only for him. It's only his vision. It's not to help anyone, right? Ultimately, it's only for his own good, right? And the way it's going to get there is going to be the most interesting to the reader. It's never going to be fun to watch something sort of really powerful run up against the most powerful and then get bopped like a whack-a-mole. It is going to be cool to see someone with 8 different webs and access to any storyline, Frank Miller, to just reach down and scare the pants off you, you know? And I mean, if we're going to wrap it up, I'm just going to say, you know, if you want to just talk about just not being good, like, what's up with Ultron, like, messing with Santa Claus, bro? Takes on the form of Santa Claus. You don't mess with Santa. Like, come on.
Villains do. Ultron will dress up like Jesus if he has to.
I could say a couple different things about that, but okay. All right. But before I do that, let's go ahead and wrap up the final argument. So I dropped the link one more time. Like I said, it should be active for another minute and a half. So while that minute and a half ticks down, we'll have the closing statements beginning with Kingpin himself. So take away, Kingpin, for your final statement.
Yeah, I thought that was my final statement. Okay. So, just to recap.
Sorry.
I was saving the Santa Claus line for the end. You killed me. So, again, just Kingpin is the epitome of evil. And he's an interesting character. He's represented by by a far superior actor. He's fun to watch. He's villainous. He speaks to our worst human nature. Right? Everyone's got a capacity for evil. Here's someone who embodies it, who's mastered it, who lives it on a daily basis and always comes out on top. He's not someone that's, again, a one-trick pony. He's evil. He's evil to the core. And he's going to get there. That's why he's the best villain ever. And last shameless plug. He's got the best comic book cover of all time. Just saying.
Awesome. That is a good grade. My dream grade for that book is to upgrade my 4.5 to a 5.0 because something about having the ASM 50 and a 5.0 just seems like the perfect grade to have. Anyway, take it away, Pocan, with your closing statement.
So great cover, bro. But much like Ultron, I'm doubling down. Boom. No, great argument tonight, and great points about Kingpin. But again, at the end of the day, you know, the sheer fact, and I'll stand by this all day long. Again, argue with Google, argue with your computer. argue with Jet or Chat GPT, right? You will consistently lose that argument all day long. You're not going to fool a computer. You're not going to guess a computer. You're not going to outsmart a computer at the end of the day. Very few people have, and those people are truly unique. God bless them. But at the end of the day, if you were standing on the street with Ultron on one side and Kingpin on the other, which one do you think has the possibility of showing you compassion and letting you live at the end of the day? And that is truly villainous.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I look forward to this very much. So the link is there. I don't know if it's still active or not. If it is, go vote. And if it isn't, thank you for voting. And can't wait to see how this ends up. So this was a fun debate. I really enjoyed it. This was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. This, like I said, just something about these ideal matchups. I'll say it before, I'll say it again. My will that I use to set these matches up creates the perfect matches that I couldn't even dream of. Man versus Machine. Let's see, Kang the Conqueror versus Doctor Doom, Joker versus Loki. You can't plan these matches. They just magic of fate. So I just love that. So, all right. So without further ado, let's bring upon the voting link. I just need to make sure I have it there.
Come on, lucky number 3.
Yeah, lucky number 3. Yeah, this is your 3rd time on the show. I knew it was at least once before, but yeah, have you made it past round 1 yet? I can't remember.
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. That's good.
Second time. I made it past round 1.
All right. Well, good luck in round 2 or further on. You don't have the 2-time champions here, so who knows? All right. Without further ado, the results for the knockout episode 5, Kingpin versus Ultron, is Ultron with 8 votes, Kingpin with 2. It was a absolute slaughter. The Kingpin is dethroned.
Oh man!
So that was
congratulations, Joe.
I'll be honest with you, I'm actually surprised for that because the last time I had to argue against Kingpin, it blew out of the water, and I had Lex Luthor, and I thought I brought a compelling argument. I didn't even make it to round 2. I thought you brought very compelling arguments. Good job to you. Legitimately. I'm used to being insulted by the end of the show.
Yeah. So, well, congratulations, Dan, from your meme game this week and all that. You were worried about it before. You were unsure about it, and your argument was good enough to get to round 2. So that is cool. So you'll move forward to round. Your next episode will be episode 15 and all that, which will be further down the line. So I don't know who your opponent would be yet, possibly, but I think it'll either be I think your opponent will either be Dormammu or Mr. Freeze. This is the next episode of the knockout, which is Dormammu versus Mr. Freeze. Sometimes you have great setups, and other times it's like, ooh, how are they gonna win? So you never count it out, though. Villains are villains. You never know.
So that matchup will be
next episode, whenever that is. I haven't set it up that match just yet. So I recently basically really got busy with doing another part-time job just because money's tight right now.
Time right now.
So
maybe that envelope showed up over there and kind of bought the election.
Oh yeah. I forgot. Yeah, that was that's the Does that mean I have to give you a refund then since you lost? The bribe didn't work.
That's what I faulted from the beginning. I should have just bought the whole darn thing and then just dropping money. Made it rain.
Yeah. But yeah, so it was worth it. It was a good episode, like I said. Just Kingpin, yeah. This is Kingpin versus Ultron. It was hard to say. It could have gone a bunch of different ways, particularly Bo. Although I would have argued probably, I don't know, something against an AI machine, but something about Kingpin too. So I don't know. I might have voted for Kingpin, honestly, if I had the choice, just because something about the Kingpin's personality, you don't underestimate.
Oh, I don't doubt it. Now that the vote's over, I do find Kingpin an attractive character because, and for the same exact reason,
he's a handsome man.
In the argument, I find him a very interesting character because it was our classic look at something what Tony Soprano would have been in comic books as far as that. And I love The Sopranos. But
Yeah.
again, he's that classic mobster, the persona of it. And there's something very attractive to that. But unfortunately, in the draw, I didn't get Kingpin.
Yeah.
Honestly, I always dug him because he's not like a black mask kind of like, all right, the one trick pony mobster. He's that next level. He's the guy that epitomizes. I'm dying. I was trying to remember the Art of Warfare. What's the that famous book, The Art of Warfare?
Yeah, The Art of War.
Sun Tzu.
Sun Tzu. Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Yeah.
Like.
I know. I kind of figured you were going that way when you said
I
Eastern philosophy. I was like,
Google it on my phone.
I think he's talking about Sun Tzu.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to support your argument.
Joe, thank you, man. This is a great chat. This is
thank you. This
way
was
better
fun.
than I possibly could imagine. First time ever doing anything in front of a camera, so I thought I was going to have to puke before this. Really
I hope we can do this again sometime. This was fun.
Yep, you brought a very good argument. It's a shame Kingpin didn't go further, but like I said, I've had plenty of discussions. Like I said, there's one guy, Triple D Dodgeball. He literally, and I said it was kind of like a courtroom debate show. He brought in the lawyer talk, kind of thing. And so it's kind of like going like, I didn't mean literally seriously, but cool. So it's just like going like many things. I mean, after all, Sharon, life with two YouTubers and her daughter Rena. They're two-time champions of the knockout. This is season 4 here. So they literally won 2 of the 3, kind of a things. And so it's just like something about them and their arguments there is, you never know who's going to win. I've seen episodes here where the person who won should not have won, but the other person, but they fought like a Wolverine in a bag, it was just absolutely vicious. And then I've seen people who should have won lost because the person was so confident or just, I'm not going to vote for me, I'm just going to have fun. Well, they lost by 1 vote. You should have voted for yourself.
Oh, wait.
The villain.
Can you do that?
Yeah, I don't hold it against you. If you guys can vote, technically speaking, if you wanted to vote for yourself on your home internet, bring it up on your cell phone, turn off the Wi-Fi, and vote on your data for a second time. I don't hold it, especially in the season of the villains, folks. If you want to try and vote for
yourself. How do you think I got 2 votes?
Yeah, so
I'm gonna go out and do some social engineering now for the next. See if I can't make it past round 3.
John's Comics with Kids and all that. He uses his X-Men posse to.
Oh yeah, he brings it out.
It looks like Beautiful Mind, where it's all the gold numbers kind of falling down.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna wrap things up, guys. Thank you both for much, Dan and Pocan, for joining me on this episode. Again, stay tuned, guys. Next episode 6, which is, like I said, Dormammu versus Mr. Freeze. For that episode, it'll be very interesting to see where that ends up. And then after that, episode 7 will be Green Goblin versus Black Adam. So I look forward to that matchup too. Especially since,
interesting,
yeah, especially since Green Goblin is my favorite Spider-Man villain.
Which Green Goblin?
Oh, Norman Osborn.
Okay.
The original.
William Dafoe.
Yeah. First we attack his heart. Yeah. Gotta
versus
love
The
him.
Rock. Yeah, I think Dafoe wins that. Right? He's a non-vet, so always go with the non-vet. You get shot like 38 times, didn't I?
Yeah. Awesome. So thank you guys for joining us on this longer than normal episode, which was always fun. So take care, everyone, and see you guys next time for the next round of the knockout. Happy collecting, and I'll see you guys later. Talk to you later.